Hi, that Paul guy. Um, Finally getting back to the Raspberry Pi. Yeah, better late than never, right? Okay, so the deal with the Raspberry Pi, I kind of left off before where, I've had a number of projects I'm working on. I'm working on rebuilding my editing rig because once again I changed my mind. I've been working on the Raspberry Pi, which is sitting back over behind me, right over here, sitting on the shelf, and we'll explain that in just a second. Um, a couple of different things going on. I'm also going to upgrade Danny D, which is my small form factor. We're going to go ahead and put an AIO in that, and probably going to work on an SFX power supply, a smaller power supply, so there's more room, and just kind of do a couple of things to make that more convenient. But I found out my work schedule is going to change, so I've got a little bit more time to work on Danny D. Not necessarily more time to work on the new editing rig, which I'll take care of. But in the meantime, I have gotten things most of the way figured out with the Raspberry Pi. Now, as some of you might remember, or if you were watching in the last video where I mentioned that, and right up here, I'll go ahead and leave a link to it on YouTube. My last video mentioned something about setting up as a VPN server. Well, that's going to have to be handled in a different video, because just getting this thing together and set up and figured out and remoting into it was a fun enough project. So we'll get to that in a little bit. But anyway, setup wasn't too difficult. Building, of course, the first part of it, building, there were a couple of things that went pretty smoothly and a couple of things that didn't. For instance, when trying to attach the small little fan to the upper inside of the case, one of these screws tore, or one of the standoffs got ripped completely off. It offered no resistance at all, and I was using a small screwdriver at the time. Offered no resistance, but I mean, it just came right off. So I'm going to have to say the build of the case overall is okay, not outstanding. So if you're going to get a project like this, be very, very careful. Even though it's small tools, I got fat fingers, so I mean, maybe there's a little bit more strength in there than I realized, but you got to be careful. The rest of it went together fairly easily. I didn't have too much of a problem. It does come with a couple of heat sinks for the chips that are on there. I was able to do that. I was able to go ahead and get it up and running. When I did that, set up a few things, it downloaded all my languages that I would end up needing, or was able to let me set the time zone and all that good stuff, and pretty much like a regular operating system. And then I moved on to the next thing, like kind of setting things up the way I wanted them to, different backdrop or different background for the screen, and actually starting to set up a couple of different programs. In this case, I decided to go ahead and set up a Node.js server, just a simple web server, to make sure that I could remote into it, because the next step will be to go ahead and set that up as a VPN. That wasn't too difficult at all. I do have a little bit of a Linux background. I do have a little bit of a Windows background, and I have some knowledge in programming systems, so that went pretty easily, and I was able to go ahead and set that up without much of a problem at all. I was then even, and I'll go ahead and kind of show this clip too, I was then even able to go ahead and set it up, and with it sitting over here behind me on the shelf, took the keyboard, mouse, and everything else away, just set it on the shelf, turned her on, and I was able to go ahead and remote into it, and lo and behold, web server works really well. So it's just a simple web server. I only set up a couple of pages. To go ahead and do more than that, I would have to set up the keyboard, mouse, and monitor, and go ahead and do a few things in Visual Studio Code again, but that's not a problem at all. I can do that, and I've got plenty of monitors and keyboards and mice to set that up where I don't have to do that on this desk all over again, because that was fun in itself. But I was able to go ahead and remote in. It did work out pretty well, and the bang for the buck, I'm pretty happy so far. The only thing that I did have a problem as far as programming wise is it teased me with the Minecraft Pi edition, but it wouldn't open up and play. I did try it from the graphic interface, and I did try it from the command line both, and there seems to be a problem when it tries to go to full screen. It kicked it back out. Didn't like that at all. So, but that so far was the only problem I found with it. It has a couple of Python programs and utilities already loaded on it. Oh, and one other thing that I was not able to do, I was not able to download a different browser. I tried to download the Brave browser, which is a newer browser. I'll leave a link to that down there if you want to take a look at it. I might even do a video on that later, but I tried to open that up and try to download and link that. It showed me being able to download it, but it would not let me try to install it because it said it couldn't find it once it downloaded it. So, and I'm not sure why, because I was able to find it manually, but hey, anyway, we'll get back to that when the time comes. Other than that, I didn't really have any problem with setup. It set up and works. This Raspberry OS, which I guess they are calling it now, is a derivative of Debian OS. So if you're used to Ubuntu or Debian on the Linux side of things, you're not going to have any problems at all setting up this little Raspberry Pi. And as far as setting up as a little simple web server, that was pretty easy. All I had to do was actually get in there, set a few things up in a Node.js program, and then I went ahead and just used the IP address that I had assigned to it to tap in and show it on the browser, so it worked out pretty well. Anyway, I'm not going to do a full tutorial or anything like that. I am just letting you guys know that that I was able to get it set up, and that if it's something I'm going to explore and play around with. If it's something you might have sitting around your house, or a project you've done, or if you've done a project with it, maybe turning into a doorbell ring cam, or a Plex server, or anything like that, or just a simple a VPN or a Node.js server or something like that, let me know in the comments. Tell me what you think. How was it for you? Did you enjoy doing it? Did you buy it separately and then get all the little accessories, or did you buy, like I did, a kit that was all in one that everything came together for it? Kind of curious and interested to know, because the more I play with it, the more I think I like it. But anyway, that's all I got for this time. So I will do at least one more video on trying to set this up. I believe I'm going to do one more video on trying to set this up as a VPN server. I do have a video coming up that's going to be on swapping things over with the new maybe I will, maybe I won't, but I imagine I probably will when I get everything situated and swap everything around, moving everything out of Son of Fred into I Am Number 4. And then, of course, with Danny D coming up too. So, as always, folks, you're welcome to thumbs up, thumbs down if you have to, but let me know why. Subscribe, share, do all those good YouTube things. Also, you can come see me on Odyssey if you want to, odyssey.com or lbry.tv if you're using a mobile phone. And, hey, just stop by buymeacoffee.com. I've got a blog on there that has pretty much nothing to do with tech at all, but hey, that's what it is. So that's all I got for right now, folks. And until next time, I'll see you later.